Hey, B, nice to have you back. Where were you last month?
At the beach.
Okay, B, you better brought us back some souvenirs.
I brought you this conch.
Oh? A shell? Huh. Weird. I can kind of hear something in it.
Is it the ocean?
No, not like the ocean. It sounds almost like a ghost.
A ghost?
In the shell?
Hi, I'm JD.
And I'm Manuel.
In the shell?
And you're reading the wrong way. Okay, welcome to Reading the Wrong Way, episode 12, Ghost in the Shell. Finishing off our first year with Manuel's choice.
Yeah, this time around I picked it, and I picked Ghost in the Shell, like JD just said. It's story and art by Masamune Shirow, or Shirow Masamune, I guess they're titled here. And what I found interesting, I didn't realize this until I read it this time, that this translation, at least the one I'm reading, the most famous one, the Dark Horse one, that was I think the first published one in English, is translated by Frederick L. Schott. Schott? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Y'all might remember him. He's the guy that very famously brought up the Kimba versus Simba controversy in an essay he wrote. He actually wrote several essays and articles, on manga. He was like super like old school weeb, also a furry, not making this up. And I just find it funny that he translated this one. So now I immediately want to question everything about it.
Okay.
Like how accurate is this translation?
It's an interesting translation. There are points where I'm not entirely sure what they're trying to convey. And it doesn't help that...
Go ahead.
Okay, it doesn't help that, so I read the version on the Kodansha app, which I had not really used before. Don't recommend it. Bad app. And it's flipped. But only it's read left to right, but you flip the pages right to left still, which is insane.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember looking this up kind of recently, not recently, but like when I was thinking about what I was gonna pick for like the year, like way back earlier on in the year, and I remember looking up. I'm like, I kind of want to Ghost in the Shell because that's such an iconic anime and manga and piece of media. And I was looking it up, and I didn't realize this or know about this, that most of Ghost in the Shell media is a co-production with the West. So part of me wonders if this manga was like, does it exist in a quote-unquote Japanese right-to-left version? Because if you notice, it doesn't have a lot of the hallmarks of a flip manga, whereas everybody's using their left hand and stuff like that. But yeah, I made notes and look at that. Also, since we're talking about translation and weirdness, what bothered the hell out of me, and I don't know if this is just me overthinking it or if you guys agree with me on this, but don't the word bubbles look very American comic book?
The whole thing is very American comic book. Including the way it was originally, at least in English, published in, American comic book sized issues.
Oh yeah, I actually have
really
a
wanted to
couple
get my
of
hands
issues
on for this.
Oh,
and I ended up not doing.
Yeah, I would say I don't think that they're expensive. Like I got them kind of recent. Like I said this before. I went to I think it was a Long Beach Comic Con. Fun fact that just happened a couple weeks ago, and I bought a ton of the manga comics. Single issue comics of a ton of manga. Fist North Star, Ghost in the Shell, Maison Ikoku, some other titles I'm forgetting, and they were like 50 cents. So each. So and this was like 2019. So I don't think these are like worth money or like expensive.
They're a collector's item, but maybe really not that many collectors.
Exactly.
Yeah. This isn't something that's really done very much anymore, and I wonder how much longer that style of manga publishing was going on after Ghost in the Shell. Oh,
well, I can answer that question somewhat weirdly enough right now, because I have a very distinct memory of the fall of 2001. They were starting to translate Record of Lodoss War, and they mailed me a copy for free because I was a subscriber to Animerica. So they were still doing this shit well into the early 2000s, which is insane to me because that feels way too late.
Yeah.
Because if you don't Yeah, Ghost in the Shell, the manga came out in the early 90s. Like I think it started in 89, but I don't think it started getting serialized in America until like 91 or so.
Yeah, the manga was originally published in the seinen magazine, Young Magazine Zokan Kaizokuban from 1989 to 1991.
And I assume that's a monthly magazine because these are some long ass chapters. But yeah, this is a weird story. So right off the bat, I don't want to say I have a love-hate relationship with Ghost in the Shell because that's too extreme. But I have a weird relationship with Ghost in the Shell because I'm of the mind, and I don't know if I think this is a nice discussion to open this all with because I don't know if you guys agree with me on this. The manga's not that interesting, I feel, plot-wise. Do you guys agree or disagree?
I agree. I think it has a lot of interesting ideas, and I think the adaptations have mostly done more with them than the manga does.
Yeah. The only real adaptation I've seen is the 1995 movie. And yeah, that really binds into one like more cohesive story. This feels more like a guy just writing, I have a science fiction action chapter to write. Let's go write something out right now.
And man, that science fiction, it is so dense. There's like prose in this. There's paragraphs.
So yeah, are you guys familiar with Michael Crichton? The guy, Jurassic Park. Have you ever read his books?
I read a couple chapters of Jurassic Park when I was in like 9th grade, but I never finished it.
Okay, so you might have had that experience I did. So his novels are very famous for being very detail orientated. Like they go into like the whole thing with in the movie they talk about like the way the dinosaurs were created to getting some of the DNA from the amber and then filling it with the frog DNA and so on and so forth. All that was in the book. Like he made all this shit up, and it was written a lot more detailed about like the DNA this, DNA that, and that's what Ghost in the Shell feels like. It feels like fucking Michael Crichton wrote a manga.
Yeah.
Like, do we really need all this explanation? Like, there were certain chapters I kept rereading, not chapters, but sections kept rereading. Like, what the hell are they saying?
The thing is, I feel like this is kind of what science fiction has become. I mean, it always sort of had a lot of this, but I feel like even now, and even in like fantasy genre fiction in general, it's all become like, let's over-explain everything.
You were saying, JD?
Yeah, I was just going to add on that, yeah, sometimes it feels like half a panel is just text, like going over this science fiction techno Bible.
Yeah. So, but like I was saying, that my love-hate relationship kind of comes with the fact that I don't think Ghost in the Shell is that iconic of a series unless you're in the West. This influenced so many people. We all know The Matrix. Like the Wachowskis were like, oh, we want to do Ghost in the Shell and like, stuff like that. And I'm like, what? It's like this.
It's weird because cyberpunk really had like a big boom in the West before Ghost in the Shell, which I think probably inspired Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
But then Westerners picked up more on Ghost in the Shell than they did on like Neuromancer or whatever.
Yeah, I think it also came at a time when Japan was kind of dominating economically, and a lot of like people were looking at Japanese animation at the time as well, especially young kids who were kind of rebelling against some sentiment or just looking for something new and cool.
Because I think of stuff like this getting getting a Western live action adaptation, and like Battle Angel Alita of all things. Who the hell ever heard of Battle Angel Alita?
James Cameron, apparently.
Like that, exactly. And I'm like, it's just like these,
adaptation.
You get these famous people, who I guess became famous. Maybe I don't know if they were famous when they read it or saw it, whatever. Who like see these things and it's like they save them from relative obscurity, because I'm pretty sure we would not remember Ghost of the Shell as well as we do if it wasn't for the fact that it influenced so many other people to create other, in my opinion, better works.
And like I grew up with Standalone Complex. And I didn't really know there had been a movie until way later. And then didn't know the movie was based on a manga until even later than that.
Very similarly, I first heard of Ghost in the Shell because when I was a kid, it was my brother's PS1, and I remember I went to like a fucking CVS and I was looking through a magazine, and they were showing the screens for this game called Ghost in the Shell, where you played as robotic spider, and I was like, that looks so cool. I don't know what drew me to it, and I remember I just locked that away in the back of my mind. And about a year or so later, I saw it used at a game store for like $5, and I bought it, played it, and honestly loved it. I don't have that many like crazy memories about it, but I kept thinking, oh, this is and I knew it was based on an anime because there was clips of it in between. I'm like, oh, this is an anime about a robotic spider and about a girl who controls it, and that is not the plot at all. Like, and that's honestly like if you just played that game, because it was like really badly dubbed, just really out of context clips from like the movie, and I think some were original for the game. You never play as Motoko Kusanagi, who's the main character. You never play as her. You're always just the spider, which by the way is called a Fuchikoma, and that's it.
Tachikoma. If you're in the
then I read the huh?
They're called Tachikomas in the movie. They're technically distinctly different for copyright reasons. For what they had to be redesigned for the movie for whatever reason.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So they got renamed to Tachikoma.
I haven't. Okay.
Yeah,
honestly,
I think this manga was actually the first and only time I've ever seen them called Fuchikoma, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that might have always been the case because I didn't rewatch any of the stuff for this episode. I didn't feel like it was necessary. But I've seen Standalone Complex. I've seen the movie. Gosh, I've seen the movie like 5 or 6 times. I've seen Innocence, which is the sequel. I've even seen the Scarlett Johansson movie. But yeah, I guess let's talk about the manga because we danced around it a bit. The manga is about Section 9. Section 9.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's actually Japan. They're kind of vague on countries, like this neo-futuristic Japan from like the far off year of 2029, which I always find funny when you read older material. Like, why would you place your sci-fi in such a foreseeable future?
I mean, at the time it was written, it was lifetime. 40 years apart. A lot.
But yeah, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess, but it's just like you would think you would know. It's by the 90s you would know, in my opinion. Like maybe in the 50s you would do some dumb. 1990 we have flying cars.
I mean, Manuel, if you look at the rate of progress, we went in 60 years from achieving powered flight to going to the moon. I could see thinking, oh yeah, in 40 years this will be what things will look like.
Yeah, because we're 4 years off of this and
science fiction.
Yeah. I don't know. Jump further, guys. Just think further ahead, please.
1984 was written in 1948.
Okay. But Manuel,
is that true? Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, Security Section 9, they actually mentioned how they're set up. They're basically set up, what's his name? They have a commander.
Aramaki.
This tryhard, Aramaki, this tryhard who's like gonna clean up the government, clean up like all the corruption, and he sets up the security force. I guess they already existed as like kind of mercenaries before all this. It's a little vague on that. I'm confused exactly what happened, but the manga starts with them getting the funding for it. They're gonna be like this hostage rescue group or something like that.
Yes, and that's their official designation, but they are mostly just police for these.
This is
very interesting cyber cases.
And every chapter of the manga deals with, like JD just said, these very specific cyber crimes. Just about every single one of them involves corruption in some level of the government. It's insane, actually, how like every chapter involves that. Part of me, like, it's funny because I watched the movie earlier this year. Part of it reminds me a lot of Police Chief Gordon from The Batman, the movie The Batman, like fighting this losing uphill battle to like clean up the city. Spoiler alert: Aramaki is not actually successful at the end of this little manga series, but he tries, and the team is made up of several people, including one woman named Major Makoto Kusanagi.
Obviously, an alias.
Mokoto? I forget if it's
Motoko.
Which one it is. Motoko. Okay. Motoko Kusanagi. There it goes. I'll remember that.
And as
obvious
manga notes, it's an obvious alias. It's like naming someone Jane Excalibur.
Is it really? I know very little about about Japanese naming conventions, but yeah, I wonder.
I mean, Kusanagi is the name of one of the Japanese regalia. It's the grass cutting sword.
Does anyone else want to name the other people on the team?
Boat.
Bato.
Boat. Bato?
Yes.
Yeah, Bato's is he the guy with the cybernetic eyes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Togusa.
They never talk about that, but yeah, is Togusa's
Like the
the
normal
normal
dude.
looking one, right? Yeah, because Ishikawa's the one with the beard.
Mhm.
So that's the way I try to tell them apart. I have it in my notes too. Ishikawa's the one with the beard, and then Yano is the red shirt.
Yeah.
Yano's the only other one I think gets more than just an offhand reference. He gets killed in a random mission, and
I don't think we ever actually see him. We just been told he's been plucked out of training to go on this mission, and then we learn, oh, he's dead.
But apparently there are other operatives in this team. We just never really know of them because there are references in other chapters. Oh, they killed 2 of our men. And I'm like, who? Bato? He's still there. Fun fact, if anyone ever wants to like see how Bato got his robotic eyes, because I'm sure this is canon, they show it in the Scarlett Johansson movie. I'm sure that's canon though.
I just assumed
But
it was part of, becoming a cyborg. He lost his eyes in something, and they gave him, here, have these cyber eyes.
So like everyone in this future can be like partly or somewhat like cyborgy. I'm actually very confused by this, but Motoko in particular is like all cyborg.
Mhm.
I feel like they say that early on, but I'm like, is she or isn't she? Because I'm kind of confused by that. So yeah, the body she has isn't like real. It's all like created. Whoever she is just literally like a brain and like a spine.
Mhm.
And that apparently, well, the consciousness of a person is the ghost.
Yes, the
They
consciousness in
keep
their
throwing
cyber
all-
brain.
Yeah, they keep throwing all these terms around, and I'm like, wait, what is the ghost? And then I guess the shell is the body. They never actually really say what the shell is. But yeah, she's a robotic cyborg thing, and they fight corruption in the government. Any particular chapters you think are worth noting?
I think our first one, prologue, is pretty noticeable, if only for like the opto camo, jumping off a building, pulling off an assassination bit. It's referenced in most of the media, and most of the media are referencing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's definitely a famous one. The next chapter involves don't worry, we're not gonna do the whole like play by play, but the next one involves them like saving a bunch of kids who are like being enslaved
Mhm.
to like make air purifiers.
Water filters is what it
Or
said
something
in
like
my version.
water filters. Sorry, it was water filters. I didn't put that in my notes. It's funny because like the scenes where they're being fed reminded me a lot of The Wall.
Mhm.
If you guys ever seen The Wall, the Pink Floyd movie. But like but I was like, what the hell is this? And I think they're funneling them through some program. There's like some orphanage program like
Yeah,
the government
they're
set
war
up, but they're all
orphans.
just being like yeah. And I'm like, my God, everyone of this thing is corrupt. Also, that's one of the first scenes, and they never really show this again. They have this like other operative person who gets like her brain fried because like I guess you could hack into people's consciousness in this world
Yeah.
pretty easily. I'm actually very confused by this because or is everyone in this futuristic society always online?
I think essentially yes. I mean, I don't think wireless
It's
connections were
just like
that
today.
advanced at this point, but it's kind of assumed that they are connected to something at just about every point.
Yeah, because they're able to be like hacked like kind of at will, like everyone. Like I'm just confused by that. And the members of the team are able to communicate with each other. And there's a very famous line, at least to me, in the opening chapter where they're like, "Hey, let's close communications because the communications could be like actually hacked, like the speaking out loud,
Mhm.
and we'll talk in our minds, kinda." And they go in Motoko's mind, and it's all like, "What the hell?" There's all this shit going on, and they're just like, "Oh, sorry, I'm on my period, so I'm really confused." And the reason why that line's important is because that line is probably one of the first crazy fights of like manga censorship in the world. It's funny because I don't think I realized, and I've read the essay he wrote on it. I don't think I realized he translated it too. So I'm like, how the fuck can you translate it, make the change, and then write an essay about it? Because our man Frederick L. Schote wrote an essay about that line, basically about like how they had to censor some stuff, and I'm like, you censored it.
It was censored for like ratings purposes, but then eventually the author was like, anything that was censored, I kind of didn't think it was important.
Yeah,
So it
and
was kind of a little bit of both.
yeah, I think it also kind of conflicts with the fact that she has a cyber body, so probably wouldn't be going through that. But the other thing is that people have like gone back to, yeah, I should have like done it this way when I originally did it. who was the author? Left-Handed Darkness. Why can't I not remember? Give me a second.
Now I can't remember either.
Is it Le Guin?
Oh, now we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ursula.
It is.
Ursula K. Le Guin wrote it. She
Yeah.
refers to the, I guess, gender fluid species almost entirely using like male pronouns. In some ways, it reflects one character's, like the main character's view of them. But I believe that, and like some other essay, she's just like written a long thing of like, here's like a companion piece on why I did it and how I would have changed it now. I understand that, but I'm still putting it out this way. And that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of when I think of that.
I love how I didn't think you guys would know this, and you guys are all familiar with this line. But yeah, this line was very famous, and like I remember this being referenced all the time when I was first getting into anime in the early 2000s. Like, I would pick up old books, not old books, they were still kind of recent, but like books that had been published in the 90s or so, and reading up on anime, and they would always mention this line, and they would always be like, "Oh, this was different time," and I'm like, "They're still censoring things in the 2000s." But yeah, I just thought I'm like, "Oh, look, it's that line." There's also some censorship. When like in the next chapter after they save those kids from like the evil factory, where like Motoko's on vacation.
Can I make one more thing about the chapter 2 Super Spartan? It's just that this is also a very good way to see just how different the original manga is from the movie. Like in the movie and other adaptations, a lot of people are very stoic and stuff, but in here they're much more comedic. Much more
very
uncaring.
Everything has a lot more personality. It's like it's more fun and like warm and softer than the movie.
Yeah. Like
I blame Mamoru Oshii, the director. I just think he's like, if B got the chance to direct anime, I'd imagine that's the way it would turn out. It's very artsy type, like, we need this like 3 minutes of silence so that you get the feeling, the emotion.
The thing is, we all agreed at the beginning that the movie was better.
I'm bringing this up now because we brought up the movie a bunch, and we're already all over the place. Ghost in the Shell is a big media franchise. We're just gonna jump at it. So yeah, the movie. Not only is the movie they have the very dry, stoic characters, it also only talks about like one main chapter, like the puppeteer one, which comes at the end of this one. We'll get there eventually. But the sequel, which is Ghost in the Shell Innocence, is like so slow. Like if you watch that, that's a total 180 tonal shift from like this manga. It is like you think two different people wrote it or like had different source material entirely. But then again, that's not uncommon, I think, for adaptations of the type. Like everyone loves Perfect Blue, the movie, but if you read the book it's based on, it is night and day. Like I think Perfect Blue, the anime, is about like it's all like it's a lot of like in her head it's like this old lady killer or whatever, but in the book it's like this very Michael Myers Jason type killer, like a serial killer.
When you ever read Howl's Moving Castle and then realize how much of the movie is just Miyazaki talking about how much he doesn't like wars in the Middle East.
Oh my god. Oh, it's talking about wars in the Middle East. That comes up in Ghost in the Shell also. But yeah, Ghost in the Shell, where was I going with this? Hold on. I was trying to thought. Hold on. No, cut this
the
out.
Style of adaptation around the time, I think, is what you're going for.
Oh yeah. So I think that was just the way things went. And not only that, but we also got to remember, like I said earlier, especially the first movie. The first movie was 1000% like a 50-50 like Western co-production by a company called Manga Entertainment, who I think and it's funny because like there's this whole thing also I read about this through one of Frederick L. Schutt's essays. There was this whole thing where Manga Entertainment licensed the word manga in some regions, so that term would apply to anime because Manga Entertainment, funny enough, didn't publish manga, but they did co-produce Ghost in the Shell. And I think that movie was just made to be Western. It was made for the Wachowskis to watch it and want to make The Matrix in like 4 years later, or whatever what the time frame was. But yeah, going back to chapter 2.
Yeah, sorry, Manuel, can I get back to my point that I didn't really get to expand upon? We talked about how it's different. I didn't really get to show how it shows it's different, which is like when the boys who have been imprisoned here, the Section 9 comes to free them. It's like, hey, can you help us? Kusanagi's just like, do it yourself. Just leave them be.
Oh.
Or other times when, she'll make like funny faces, react a lot more than like the stoic figure you would expect from other derivative works.
That's the one thing I do mostly prefer Kusanagi in the manga, I think, because she's more of a character. There's like more going on with her.
Oh yeah, I agree with that totally. Like, I don't know if I like her as a character, but I mean, let me phrase that. I don't think like she's my favorite character in the world. That's what I'm trying to say. But I do think she's a better character. I'm very confused by her though, because I'm always like, I don't know if this is like me finally reading extra into it, but I'm like, what are her motivations behind all this? Like, what is she doing all this for? Because she doesn't seem like she's a hero. She doesn't seem like she's in it for money. What is she in this for?
There's a line where she talks about, oh man, now I forgot. I didn't actually write this down.
I mean, I'd assume
Like,
it's
I have
either
this
money or
written in my
access to
notes a
high-grade
lot.
cyber parts.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. I guess maybe the money, because they do mention having safe houses at the end, and maybe like, you know, having extra bodies lying around costs a ton of money. I don't know, but like, why aren't they just terrorists themselves? Like, why is she good? Like, I really wonder.
Maybe she just has some innate like goodness, or believes that, you know, we can do some good in this world. The other thing, bodies are expensive. Like, one chapter notes that a pleasure doll costs more than a Ferrari.
That's upsetting. I jumped there really fast. But I remember when I read that line too, I'm like, I would like to believe that if and when pleasure dolls are invented, and for those who don't know, there's a running joke. I brought this up, like, at least JD's heard me say this many times, that the end goal to technology, in my opinion, is to make a functioning sex robot. Because at that point, I think, and this isn't even a joke, this isn't even me being hyperbolic, I really think at that point, humanity would just like slowly descend to chaos and destroy itself. Like, let the AI take over. I'm gonna go live with my sex bot, you know, for the rest of my life. I'm being serious. Like, and I think that'll really be the case. Like, someone needs to write a sci-fi thing about that. But I would think that in the future, and they do mention like, oh, there's the whole thing with planned obsolescence and whatever with like the sex robots. I would think that there would be affordable lines of robots.
Man,
But-
Tech Bros just can't wait to seduce Rocco's Basilisk.
Exactly. But going back to chapter 3.
Yeah.
Also, actually, I'll tell in chapter 3. So chapter 3, they're doing this recon thing. I think they're in Mexico in this one, or in the South America somewhere. Everyone but Kusanagi is on this mission, and they're like, "Oh, call Kusanagi. We need her." And there's like, "Oh," Bato's like, "Oh, but she's on leave." She's like, "Her leave's over," and they call her. But before they actually show the calling, they show what Kusanagi's doing, and she is like having a massive lesbian orgy on a yacht in the middle of the ocean.
It's funny because this is another thing that was censored, but it's
Yes!
so obvious what's being censored.
When I first bought this manga, this exact one I'm reading now, like, I got mine through a shady source, but I do have the real one somewhere in this room. I just couldn't find it, but it's this one. It's the one I'm about to mention. So when I bought this manga, it had it had 2 pages removed. They did not censor it. They just took it out.
Well, I mean, I think they also changed what is 3 robot women going at it into them just being on a boat in their swimsuits.
Yeah,
I'm also
it just shows her
mildly
jumping
annoyed
into
that,
like a jacuzzi.
yeah, JD mentioned that earlier, and I'm mildly annoyed they did that. And I don't know if this is just me overthinking it, but later on we see that Makoto's dating I keep saying Makoto. Motoko's dating a guy.
You can just call her the Major. That's the easy way to refer to her that everyone
Call her
knows.
the Major.
Kusanagi,
Call the
even?
Major. So the Major, later on it's shown that the Major's dating a guy, and I'm like, oh, so the Major's just bi. And then I stopped and I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, do we know the Major's a girl? Let me rephrase that if
We
you
don't
understand
really
what I'm
know
saying
anything
here.
about.
Do we know the Major was born a girl? Born, you know,
Assigned female at birth.
do we know? There you go. That's the exact term I was looking for. Do we know she's AFAB? Like, you know, like, do
No.
we?
No.
Because we don't.
I don't think we know
Yeah.
anything about her from before she was a cyborg.
For all we know, like, they were assigned male at birth, and they're like, when I put my brain and my spine in a box or whatever the hell happens, I want to be a girl next time.
Yeah. I
You
mean, I
know.
think Cyberpunk, especially ones with heavy body mod like this, do have a great way of exploring gender identity and how we might discover new possibilities with all that stuff.
Yeah.
For the record, when I say the orgy with the women on the boat, it is actually pretty explicit.
Yeah.
It comes out of nowhere. So I'm not saying that I think it should be in there per se. Like, it comes out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
But I do think that by taking that out, by changing it, I just feel like you lose that line of thought that led me to the whole thing where I'm like, huh, do we actually know the Major's gender?
No, but
And
I mean,
like, we don't.
going by the epilogue
I-
of the story, which is, in 9 chapters from this, they do seem to be very okay with the idea
Well,
of
I
being
think
in
also-
a masculine body.
Going back to how it was censored, and the author was kind of like, I didn't think it was that important anyway, so I'll just let them censor it. Kind of goes back to my thoughts on the whole manga, which is that he has some ideas, but he's not really willing to follow through on anything, which is kind of, I think, a big weak point with the manga, is that he's just kind of saying like, hey, think about this. Okay. And he doesn't really follow through with anything. He doesn't feel like he has a lot of strong thoughts or opinions he's really trying to get through with the manga. Just kind of saying, hey, what if we thought about stuff? Very loosely.
So another interesting factor about these first 3, these first opening chapters of the manga, you might be wondering back, because I was like, didn't Manuel talk about a fucking spider robot, a Tachikoma, Fuchikoma, whatever the fuck it is? Like, what? So maybe like, where are those? So they're here, but they're in the background. They're like their own little AI controlled like hive mind.
Yeah.
I think there's like 5 of them or something. I'm confused. When I played the game, I assumed somebody was controlling it from afar. Maybe they went into it. There's even a line where they mentioned how, like, I forget who it was. I think it was Bato, who wanted to use the same Fuchikoma all the time.
Yeah, that's
so
Bato.
I think they do they jack into it in some way to like control it, but they're like autonomous.
Yeah.
So I'm confused exactly how they work.
Well, there's a whole episode of Standalone Complex where they can't decide whether or not they have ghosts or not.
Exactly. So what pissed me off is that Standalone Complex actually uses the fucking Fuchikoma, Tachikoma. I guess they're always Tachikoma. I haven't seen Standalone Complex in like 20 years. Gosh, it has been like 20 years. Anyway, I find it so weird how under-implemented they are in the manga. Like, the Tachikomas drop out about halfway through, and it's all like, why did every other adaptation make them a bigger focus?
I assume someone on the team thought they were cool.
Yeah.
Probably make toys and sell them as well for merchandising.
Who the hell at like whatever company made the game decided, yeah, we're gonna make a Ghost in the Shell game and it's only gonna be about the Tachikomas? Like, who what? Tachikomas? Fuchikomas? I'm saying them all at the same time.
Adaptations used to go.
I'm actually thinking, who the fuck made this game real fast? Okay, so the game was actually oh wait, what the hell? It was published by THQ? Really? Anyway.
In the US, probably.
Yeah. But what a weird company to publish it. Anyway, in one of the upcoming chapters in the middle, one of the last times we see them in any big form, they go to this very like Hong Kong's looking place, and the Fuchikoma specifically get like distracted, like in a big shopping bazaar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, they do show them a couple of times, but I was making this joke to JD earlier before we recorded that in my head canon, they're still there. They got distracted shopping and they never came back. Because, like, I don't know if Masamune and Shirow just decided, yeah, I don't really want the Tachikomas that much, because they don't really play any major role. From then on, like, I think there's a couple lines later on with like, oh, you should have brought one with you.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, oh, get one to track them. And then it kind of happens off screen. Mm-hmm. They also go invisible. They have this method like where they can kind of like, I don't know, like stealth.
Opto camouflage like everyone else seems to have.
Yeah, apparently. But they go invisible. So like I assume that like also headcanon, because they never actually say this all the time, they're always there. We just don't see them. But yeah, I don't know. Like I wish they were bigger. Like, I'd read this manga before. It's not a surprise this time. But I do remember reading it. I'm like, why the hell are they barely in it?
You are skipping like the one chapter where they're the main characters, though.
2 chapters.
Which one?
Chapter 4, Revolt of the Robots.
Yeah, the one where they're planning the revolt, and then they're all like, wait, who's going to change our oil and stuff? And it's like, well, we'll make the humans do it. It's like, well, they're already doing it.
Yeah, that's just like a funny
like
5-page, 6-page chapter. It's not that long. Of just like
yeah,
a Fuchikoma trying to start an
Why
uprising and people saying, we already get all this. What do we need to do? And then I think we see that the Major was also playing one of the doubters, so that was a bit more playfulness from her as well. That's the one where we also see that like, actual likes to keep using the same Fuchikoma as well.
Oh, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so the next chapter, actually after that, chapter 5, is kind of an interesting one because this one involves like and this is the one we reference about. Like, I think that we reference how they were like expensive as a Ferrari, where this company was making sex robots that they were giving away the demo units to VIPs.
I know you're skipping over
like,
the chapter where it's just the making of a cyborg. That's the name of the chapter, and that's all the chapter's about. It's just the Major watching someone make a cyborg because she has to be there for, like, I guess, security reasons.
Well, it is the next chapter, but it is the one, like, it's the next real chapter.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, this is just a chapter that's very, like, looking at, oh yeah, here's how we actually make these things. And that's about it. There's no real, like, overarching plot to it. It's just, here's the process how we actually make a cyborg.
I also want to point out, because it is in my notes for this chapter, and I mentioned this, JD, this isn't the first time we see them like this, but why the fuck is that the technician wearing like a bikini?
Why not?
Who is that for? There's like no one else in this facility except the other robot. I don't even know if she's a robot, but like,
maybe
you know,
more comfortable.
But she's wearing like thigh-high boots, like a little, like, you know, a bikini, and then like a little coat over it, a little nurse hat, like a very fetishy outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, who is that for? Motoko? But anyways, the Major. So chapter 6, that's the one. That's the next real chapter. That's what I meant. Mm-hmm. The next chapter involves this plot where, like I already said, like, you know, the company giving out the demo units of these new sex robots to VIPs, like politicians. I think they give one to like a crime overlord or something like that. Because I remember, like, they start going crazy, start killing people, or they almost kill people. They start exploding, self-destructing, doing whatever. I think one of them actually kills a crime lord, and then like one of his lackeys comes and like kills the technician. And it ends up being that this company is like, what's the word they use when they like clone people into these?
Dubbing, I believe, is what they call it.
Dubbing. Thank you. It is dubbing. Because apparently there's different kinds of robots. Like, if you get just the AI type, apparently they're too like boring. So I guess like what some people do, which is very illegal, mind you, is you get a human person's consciousness and you put it into, well, I guess you like copy it and then you put it into the machine. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of implied you could do this multiple times because, like, or something like that. I'm kind of confused how that works.
No, I think they imply more that it's a one thing and then it basically kills the body afterwards.
Then why do they torture them when they don't want to do it? Mm-hmm. It's like, just do it. I would, like, if it's like I get yeeted or I get tortured, I'm like, fuck it. But it turns out the whole thing about this is that two of the girls who this is going to happen to, they put like an SOS in the one that like actually starts the whole story, who like goes to a politician. Mm-hmm. And of course, this uncovers conspiracy, like illegal money laundering stuff, because like they gave him that robot, the politician, because he was like funneling money back and forth and letting them do the illegal shit.
Yeah, they're also
the reason
trafficking all these children from the Philippines.
Oh yeah, and I think that it was a Filipino crime. It was a crime boss that got killed, mm-hmm. and it was a Filipino. I don't know what to call it. Like, who did the actual assassination, because he thought that the programming guy was in charge, even though I don't think he knew about it. Mm-hmm. I'm confused. The plot was a little confusing. But one of the big reasons I bring this all up is that most of Innocence, if you ever watch it, is based on a very loose version of this plot. Like, imagine this plot, but like everyone stops and thinks for 5 minutes every few minutes. Everyone's all like, "Oh, what is life? I'm gonna sit here and like in silence for 5 minutes, and we'll all think about it together." If you can't tell, I did not like Innocence. I saw it in theaters when it was still called just Innocence, because Mamoru Oshii was so adamant that you don't need to know Ghost in the Shell to watch it. It's just called Innocence. And I watched it in theaters and I almost fell asleep. I also was very young, so I was probably like over my head. Maybe if I watch it now, I'll like it more. But anyway, I actually forgot that this chapter was kind of about that. And I'm like, oh, look, this is Innocence, but like a very weird version of it. So yeah, any other like random chapters where we talk about the puppeteer? I'm looking at that.
There was something, but I can't even remember.
Oh, it's actually the Hong Kong chapter where they talk about the Ferrari guy. Shit. That's the one where they go to the place that looks like Kowloon Walled City.
Mm-hmm. No, I think this was supposed to be some part of Japan, just like future Japan. I want to say like some part of northern Japan, like Hokkaido, but I don't remember specifically where. Because it's like a Russian asset in Japan. Right. They're looking and they're talking about like Russian occupation of the northern islands. They also dropped
Oh,
somewhere in one of
yeah,
these chapters that World War IV has happened in this time period, so we're a little bit behind.
Yes, exactly. Actually, it's funny because I had it in my notes too. Like, oh man, we need to catch up. We need
Please,
to have
no, we
two of them
don't.
fast. Oh yeah, actually, we're kind of on the brink of one right now. So let's not. I shouldn't joke about that. I did think it was interesting. For those who don't know, those islands are hotly disputed, and I don't think Japan has control of them now. So I'm like, is that weird wish fulfillment that they get them back? But yeah, this chapter is about like Russia. I think they still call them like the Soviets and everything, and
Yeah,
like very USSR.
You can very much tell it came out before the dissolution of the Soviet Union, because they're still the Soviets.
Yeah, I was like, how weird.
I mean, a lot of stuff got that wrong. No one saw the Soviet Union just falling like it did in the early 90s. I mean, Star Trek was guilty of that too, but at least it came out in, what, the 60s?
Yeah. So yeah, any other bits before we talk about the Puppeteer? Because Puppeteer comes after that whole Russian chapter. I forgot the Russian chapter came in between.
Nothing I can think of right now.
No, like nothing that really, I think, sticks out before we get to like the start of the Puppeteer arc. Oh, wait, one thing.
Okay.
Chapter 8, Dumb Barter. The only thing I really have to note is that there's a character in it named Toru Soma. And as I wrote in my notes, not to be confused with Toru from Fruits Basket, after she marries a member of the Soma family and takes their name.
Oh, I saw that too. I like it didn't click in me like that hardcore, but I was like, Toru Soma? I'm like, what?
Sorry. That chapter also has a very good, like, I think, one-liner when the Major's like dispatching the bad guy. If you've got a problem with this world, make sure you stay in the one you're going to. Hell. Pops him. I like that one.
So in chapter 3, actually, I think it was the one where they're like the one where the whole sex stuff happens with on the ship. In that one, they randomly mentioned the puppeteer, who apparently, once again, I'm confused. If like they imply this is a special thing that the puppeteer can do, but I'm like, can't everyone kind of do this? I guess the idea is that he can move his consciousness, or they can move their consciousness. Because if anyone doesn't have a gender, it's the puppeteer. But basically, they're like an AI that can like basically control whoever the fuck they want to some degree. Can jump from body to body, robot to robot, cyborg to cyborg, whatever to whatever. And they mention it in that chapter. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get the puppeteer, and I fell for it again because, like, for those who don't know, the movie Ghost in the Shell, the movie, the first one, and also the live action one with Scarlett Johansson, that movie also focuses on the puppeteer plot line. And I'm like, why mention it so early and then don't bring it up for like several more chapters? I think in real time, like, you don't bring it up for 2 years.
I assume
like
it was just more of a cool idea I might get back to later, or just seeing that, I never explained this, I can work with this now, like 6 chapters later.
So yeah, one of the other security agencies, Section 6, has this whole operation where they need to get... Well, first of all, they find the puppeteer. The puppeteer's inside like some random... was it a sex robot? Doesn't really matter. But they find it inside of like the cyborg, and they're going to like try to like take it out. And Section 6 comes up and they're like, no, it's ours. We want it. We have special clearance. We made it. There's this whole thing about like they developed it, kind of went haywire, and obviously Section 6 is corrupt too. Whole plot, and I'm not joking. The puppeteer dead ass is like, I demand like
asylum.
Like, what was it? What's the word? Yeah, I demand a political asylum or whatever. Like,
yes,
and I'm like, what is this?
The puppeteer
what is happening?
Claims to be a sentient being and thus should have their human right to asylum, which, if you're a semi-immortal being in a country without the death penalty, is probably going to be pretty good, because even if they throw you away for life, what's going to happen to you? But I also
just fucking move to it.
I like the visuals of this, like opening of this when the puppeteer is escaping as well. It really shows, I think, like the influence. Had the original Terminator come out? Yeah, because Terminator 2 came out at like the end of this, so it reminded me of like Reese in the original Terminator, showing up when he's all like naked and stuff. And then like Blade Runner as well, with all the rainy, all the neon. You can kind of see the influences.
We haven't talked about it too much yet, but the visuals in this are very good across the board. Especially the full color pages. I'm like, there's a point where like after the full color pages switch to black and white, it's kind of like, oh,
Mhm.
like it's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're actually, I think, some of the best full color pages I've seen in manga in a very long time.
Some of the black and white ones I don't care for as much, but like in some of the action scenes, they're a lot better. Like I have one panel that sticks out to me of like Bato with his gun in like a hallway. Like there's the one panel in the middle with him holding his gun, and it looks like it's going like out of the page stuff, and then it's like turning around into the hallway. But I also like the color ones as well. Like the color palette and some of the art reminds me of Peach Momoko's current run on Ultimate X-Men. She does a very similar like style with the coloring.
And you better believe the lesbian yacht scene is all in color.
There is.
But I mentioned this.
You save those color pages for what matters.
Yeah. So I should mention this. I should mention this, that I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but or knew this more accurately. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Masamune Shirow is the George Lucas of manga, in that he has changed. I don't know if I should say if he changed all. Actually, I know he changed Appleseed, so he maybe did this to everything he's ever written. But he changed. Wait, not Appleseed. What's the? Yeah, it's Appleseed.
Appleseed is other series.
Yeah, so he changed Appleseed. I know that for a fact too. But he came to it and changed it, and apparently, I think the English version that we got in the early 2000s from Dark Horse was, obviously a reprint from Japan, and he had like meticulously gone over it. I think all the color pages, if I'm not mistaken, I remember reading this somewhere, probably from Frederick L. Schott, that those aren't colorized manga pages, which is what a lot of other mangas do. Like he redid the pages. Which is probably, and I know I keep mentioning it, I'm sorry, but that's probably why the lesbian sex scene got so intense, because I can't imagine a monthly magazine running that scene. But
Yeah.
It probably got intense because he rewrote it. I mean, because it's a color page, so he probably redrew the entire thing for the new release. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna want to have a big lesbian orgy, and
You can tell that they're not just colorized manga pages too, and that I think
Yeah, exactly.
really helps with like the composition of the whole thing and why they stand out so much.
Exactly, like they are 100% actual colored pages. Like they were always meant to be colored. For those who don't know, most mangas that like do the first 2 pages of like of a chapter colorized, that's done after the fact. Usually, yeah. I'm sure there are many other cases where that's not done, but like it's usually done after the fact. If you ever read the colorized version of High School of the Dead, that's not like they didn't go back and colorize. I mean, they didn't go back and redraw it. They just colorized the black and white, and you can always tell that. But yeah, so the art here is really good. I will give it that. Like, even like I'm not a fan of drawn out action scenes sometimes, and to be fair, he doesn't do it that often. But I do like the action scenes here, where I'm like, ooh man, there's actually a lot going on. It's detailed. You could tell what's happening, which is always a big pet peeve of mine. Of cough cough clamp. Where I'm like, what are you drawing? What is this blur?
I feel like there were some parts of it, in at least as I read it, that some scenes were just, they had way too much like shading and effects on them. Like I could still tell what's going on, but it just feels like there's too much in the scene going.
I also feel like I should point this out. Did your guys' version? I think JD's did, and I already asked him. But did your version B have the part where they show the Major getting dressed up for like some mission, and I think she's with Ishikawa, and it actually has a note, an author's note, where he's all like, "Yeah, after this, Ishikawa also did the same thing, but I'm too lazy to draw it."
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we should note that like in between
little
panels, there are sometimes
annotations
notes from the
funny.
author saying, yeah, this isn't how it actually works. It's just my artistic rendition of it. Or, oh yeah, here's how this thing works. Here's something similar in real life, that kind of thing.
Oh, see, he was so prescient. This manga had so many ideas. He was already predicting Reddit.
Now that we're on like his little notes, did you guys notice his obsession with guns in that one chapter? I forget what chapter it is, but when they were talking about guns for like 3 pages, and I'm like, what the hell? And like I looked it up to see if he was just making these terms up. He wasn't. Like these are like real guns he's referencing, and I love that he make. Huh?
Oh, I was gonna say he does that. Like there's the point with the little, I don't know what you call it, little spike thing to. You put in the street,
the spike strip,
and he's like, by the way, this is a real thing that exists.
Yeah.
Or like later with the gun on the bow, and it's like, this is not a handgun, this is a submachine gun.
Oh yeah. No, but in that bigger gun chapter, they actually they weren't complaining, but they were comparing which gun's better than what other gun, and that that was such a gun heavy topic, and like there were all these notes about like, oh, by this gun I actually mean this kind of gun, and this gun actually fires differently. Blah. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I just imagine this guy. For those who don't know, Asia in general, but Japan also especially, they're very big, like an airsoft. The airsoft guns, I forget what they're actually called, and they're like 1-to-1 replicas of real guns because it's very hard to get a real gun in most of Asia, especially Japan. Mm-hmm. And I just imagine this guy having a massive collection at home. Like, this dude is a gun nut. Nothing really wrong with that, but come to America. Just live your dreams, sir. Live your dreams. Go to Walmart. A friend of mine just came back from from Memphis, Tennessee, and they were like, "Man, the Bass Pro Shop's amazing. There's a bar, there's a restaurant. I could buy leggings, and I could buy a gun, all in the same place." And I'm like, "How? How is there a bar in the same building you could buy a gun?" Anyway,
okay,
sorry for that aside.
Get back to chapter
blew
9.
my mind. So the puppeteer. So they take the puppeteer away in a car, and they're like, "No, we want the puppeteer," because obviously, like at this point, they know that Section 6 is up to something. Ooh, that was a trip. Can you guys say Section 6? Oh,
Section
6.
Section 6.
Sections. I've never realized that. Like, I don't know. Anyway. So yeah. They go try to like. Do you kind of understand what's happening here? Because like, now mind you, the puppeteer gets a lot more esoteric in their wording at the end of the manga. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of confused what exactly happened, how they escaped into the nothing or the ether. But they kind of jack up with the major for a minute, and I thought in my head when I was reading it now that the puppeteer just stayed with the major. Mm-hmm. So when the body died, the puppeteer lived in the major and was just waiting there because there's one more chapter of nothing after this, or one more filler chapter before it actually closes. Or did it go off into the ether of the city and then come back later on?
My interpretation,
because they killed the body.
Was that there was at least a part of the puppeteer that was maybe reconstructing itself. But the physical body was gone, and then it was somewhere in like either the net reconstructing itself or just inside the major.
Yeah, I think that was roughly the reading.
Because I was a little confused by that. It's a fun fact. When I was reading this manga, I actually read it. I pretty much read the whole thing twice for this episode because it was really confusing. And I even tried to look up like a chapter by chapter breakdown. Like, surely there's a Ghost in the Shell wiki, and there is, but it does not have a chapter by chapter breakdown. Because I like to read those sometimes to see what I might have missed, especially because I'm not the most visual, fluent person. I can't really, if something's just only shown, I don't always see it.
Yeah, I am certain I missed things too because I had to read this a lot faster than I usually do because I was busy.
I did like the bit when we see like, I guess the closest thing to the ghost, a soul that the puppeteer might have, and we see it kind of looking very angelic in form. And then there was a funny bit like just before that where Chief Aramaki is asking for the heads of the Imperial Household Psychic Agency and the head of the Science and Technology Agency's ESP Institute. And true to their name, the head of the ESP Institute has already known that he would call and tells him, "Nope, this isn't our job.
Yes.
Bye."
I was like, what the hell?
He's like, "Okay, I need to be funny for a page. Let's just put something funny in here."
But yeah, and I also love that when they're getting the info to like run on Section 6, it's all on CDs also. And I know that's not like too crazy, but I'm like, that is a horrible storage medium. Do not use CDs. Discrot is a thing, everyone. Protect your media and protect your data, I mean.
Use tape.
Yes, use tape. Use what the fuck is it? Actual NVMe made out of? Use whatever the fuck
flash
that is.
Memory, Manuel. It's
just
silicon and flash memory.
Anyway, so yeah, that's basically how it ends.
When the puppeteer's gone and there's cover up in place, the plot mostly takes care of itself in the end.
The next chapter is kind of a nothing chapter. Like I called a lot of this manga filler because a lot of it's like monster of the week or like cybercrime of the week, as it were. But this one, why the fuck would you? I guess to break up the puppeteer thing, but why the hell would you put this here at all?
I think it's at least trying to look at how everyday people would see a secret police force basically running around taking care of cybercrime, and like, oh my god, we don't want this kind of thing. We're supposed to be above this as a nation. Or am I speaking? Yeah. Or that's the next chapter.
I think it's the next chapter. Hold on. I'm trying to
Oh no,
zoom ahead now.
that's the start of this chapter, and then we get into the international politics stuff. It's they're doing a mission at the sea. The major accidentally shoots someone because the puppeteer's in her mind, and she's like distracted for a second.
Okay,
Just shoots a guy as they're like on a mission.
So from here on, it's kind of where it starts being the beginning of the end, where basically the puppeteer's still floating around. There, everyone's all like, "Oh, the Major's been kind of weird." Also, I think this is one of the few times where we kind of get a reference of how long this has been going on.
I mean,
because they mention months.
Each chapter has a date on it.
Where?
On like the cover page of the chapter, doesn't it? It says like month, day, year.
I never
I
noticed
didn't notice that
those.
either.
Yeah.
I thought that was just. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was like random design. Like I saw it was
You
like,
guys
for
are gonna
example,
love when we get to the epilogue chapter.
God damn it. So it's been over a year since it all started. Because they mentioned it's been a few months since the whole puppeteer incident.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, she's going on a mission. I'm kind of confused in general. Like, was she supposed to assassinate that guy?
No.
Anyway, she's there.
They were supposed to take that guy prisoner so that they could get information out of him. Then they could let him go and then follow him to his hideout.
But yeah, he makes a sudden movement and the Major just shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she thought she was an American cop for a minute.
And to make matters worse, the media has caught wind of all this and gotten video of that shooting.
Yeah. And they basically put her on trial. So yeah, it turns out that a lot of this whole thing is a big plot. Like between like forces in the Middle East, where basically Japan is like allied with like one country that provides them oil, and another country's like, hey, we want to like break up the alliance and you ally with us.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, yeah. So basically,
they put
all this is like a
lot of this plot into motion just to destabilize the oil deal, essentially.
Exactly. And I'm like, wow, what a weird not like weird, but what a crazy backdrop to like when you start wrapping this all up, because I'm like, oh, so that's going on too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Major goes on trial, and I have it in my notes. It's like, oh, look, it's like, you know, the O.J. Simpson trial, but like, you know, was that relevant in the 90s, early 90s?
That wouldn't happen for what, another 3 years at this point, or am I getting my dates wrong?
Oh, is it? Oh, it is right. I was like a junior high when that happened, but actually I was in elementary school. But it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm like, oh, look, it's a big court trial, and they're like, by the way, if you prove if you like, they run through the options about like, you know, if you plead guilty, like, you know, here's the sentence. But like, of course, she doesn't plead guilty. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't do herself any favors on like the witness stand either when she's being grilled. She's like, oh, and like, you only waited 1 second before you shot him. She's like 8.2, like 0.82 seconds, yeah. Or something like that. And
not helping your case, Major.
And it's like, yeah, and I'm like, and I think it's funny because I had to go back to the panel and look at it, because at one point it's like, you shot him 4 times. And I'm like, she did? And I'm like, oh shit. It's like, why did she shoot him 4 times?
Most of the time you're trying to, I think, empty it out if you don't think you're going to need it afterwards.
That's some mad American cop bullshit right there. Oh my God, he twitched, so I emptied the clip in him.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell is happening? It's like, okay, but yeah, she killed the guy.
Yeah.
And
maybe
like,
was
obviously,
an American cop before she became a cyborg.
Exactly. This is all making sense now. We're uncovering the Major's past as we speak.
Yeah, before the verdict is like fully read, she runs away, takes a face artist hostage, demanding a fully loaded escape helicopter as ransom. She plans to reveal that this has all been an op by one of those countries to sabotage this collaboration. But during the hostage situation, she's apparently shot. But then it's revealed that her cyber brain is actually in Bato's car, and the one that got shot is a remote-controlled body. Yeah,
so all that was a plan, was a plot. I mean, by Section 9 to kind of save her, which is also kind of confusing because I'm like, are they going to keep using her because Aramaki's still kind of around? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, huh? And so, yeah, and then it gets really weird. So anyway, they have her spine and brain in like a little, you know, they're keeping it around. She's dead, like, you know, as far as the meat is concerned, they killed her. Mm-hmm. And I think there were extra body parts lying around too, weren't there? Like, they were gonna
yes, the next chapter starts almost immediately after this one, where they're driving to the safe house to replace her, but the body that she had intended to use is like covered in fungus for some reason.
It got moldy.
Yeah, never trust black market parts for thorough testing procedures.
Okay, so was it that or was it something else? Because meanwhile, there's like some splatterpunk looking gang who are like harvesters who have like found this facility apparently a week or two ago, try to get into it.
Mhm.
One of their people got killed, at least one of them. I don't know if it was more than one, I can't remember. One of them got killed, and the others, I guess, just cased the joint
Mhm.
and waited for them to come back. Which, by the way, what would have happened if this all didn't break down? Because like they would have never come back, or like not come back in years. Who knows?
Mhm. I assume at some point they would have just
but
given
yeah.
up, saying, "Okay, we can find a better score somewhere," or they would have just kept like
Yeah,
one
but
guy whose job it is to sit there 24/7. It's like, okay, wait for someone to show up here.
But they show up and like kind of make everything go to hell. But because they happen to be cyborgy people too, Bato gets the great idea like, hey, one of them will make a good body.
Mhm.
But while that's happening, the Major has a inner monologue with the brainkeeper, with the puppeteer.
Mhm.
And I don't even know what
They
to
have
say
a
about
long,
this.
drawn
It's
out,
like 10
philosophical
pages.
chat about the nature of life, information, including memes in the classical sense rather than the modern one. Where,
Oh, they said memes.
yes, Manuel, memes have predated
I
the
didn't
internet
know
like that.
meme was a real word. I really didn't.
You're just finding this out now?
I didn't. I've never heard it before, at least as far as I know. And what's funny is whenever like people talk about like where the word meme came from, they talk about some guy who started using it, and I never realized that he was using it just to refer to the things like that we consider memes now as the cultural artifacts of our time, basically.
Yes,
And I didn't know it was an actual term.
memes, the
I don't
DNA
know
of the
how-
soul. Cultural aspects that are kind of handed down as like a counterpart to genes, which are, passed down genetically rather than culturally. Yeah, so it means it in that sense.
It was around this same point in the manga where I was just thinking, man, this really, the Tankobon, the like collected one, did come out like months after Ring was published. These have
Oh?
such similar like, yeah, Ring was published I think in like June of 91, and Ghost in the Shell ran from
Oh.
89 to 91 or to 90 and was published in a collected edition in 91. And it's so like they're extremely different takes on extremely similar ideas.
Yeah, and I also love how in between all this philosophical talk about like replicating and like life and
Yeah,
everything
how
like
variance
that,
is in
we-
some
we
ways
still-
needed for life to flourish, and thus an AI
exactly.
perfectly replicating itself cannot create life. So it needs some kind of outside influence, and it wants the Major to be that.
Why do we have Chibi Major in one of the panels? That was such a weird tonal shift. I don't know if that was. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, it's really interesting scene.
Mhm.
Also a very confusing one. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. I read this thing like fucking 5 times and was like, what?
Mhm.
They start talking about religion and stuff like that by the end.
Yeah.
And there's an entire panel where just like tree roots.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And fruit?
Yeah,
And,
it gets a little. Would dense be the right word? It gets there.
It is very dense.
Yeah. They're contemplating
Oh,
their
it
navels
is.
a lot.
I really wonder how this ran in the monthly. Like, part of me feels like he expanded this. Like, I can't imagine any editor being like, "Yeah, this makes sense for our readers who want like." I mean, I don't know anything about the magazine,
Mhm.
but I can't imagine there being a magazine where this would run, where like, so to be like, "Yes, this makes
What did
sense."
this
When they
run
were
in?
just when they were reading all the action shit a minute ago. This is clearly like a young male type action series, and then suddenly it gets really long-winded, like fucking Evangelion last episode.
I mean, this ran in the seinen magazine, young magazine, Zokan Kaizokuban.
Oh, so yeah, it's young magazine. So I can tell you
Yeah,
right now, like
They're seinen magazine, so it's
part
kind
of
of
me-
targeting more young adult men.
yeah, but I can still imagine an editor. Well, if I was the editor, I'd be like, bro, you need to trim this down.
Yeah, man, you'd be the one
This guy-
telling them to add more lesbian sex scenes.
Yeah, I mean, like, how about you put a couple lesbian sex scenes in that tree, and then I'll let you run it. You got to be colorized too, but no.
So yes, after this long conversation, the Major decides to fuse with the puppeteer, and a new life is born.
Yeah, they kind of imply, and it's funny because in the movie version, I think they make it a lot more clear, like that what's born is neither the major or the puppeteer. It's a new thing. But here, I'm still confused. That's really the case. But they do. The puppeteer does tell her, like, I don't really know what's gonna happen. We're gonna figure this out together, kind of. A bit of a paraphrase there. Like maybe I'll take over. Maybe we'll combine. Well, I think the idea is they're gonna combine.
Yeah.
But the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, what does the puppeteer have to offer her? That's a real question. I mean, I don't get it. That's mainly why I kept rereading this. Because, like, it's almost... Does she have a choice here?
I think so. I think she's just always looking for, like, some kind of new experience in this kind of thing, especially when it has to deal with the philosophy of, like, her own existence. Like, there's one early chapter where she and her friend are wondering, are we actual human beings? Have we been human at some point? Or are those just fake memories that have been implanted to us and we're just kind of going with that? So I guess she wanted to see what she could gain by fusing with the puppeteer. Especially if she believed that the puppeteer was a sentient being on the verge of death that she could save.
This all goes back to what the hell are her motivations. I'm still confused by her as a character. Like I said, like there is a scene. I was skimming through the manga as we were doing this episode, and there was a scene earlier on where, like, one of the many corruption scenes where, like, Aramaki jumps into the scene. It's like, freeze! We got you red-handed. And the dude was about to bribe someone, and he's like, "No, I'll give you the $100,000 if you let us go." And then, if you pay attention, like there's a scene where, like, if you look in the background, you see the major, like, ooh, like, like, like doing a face just like that, like the sound I just made, like,
Yeah.
So maybe it is
that.
money. Maybe it's money, but I'm just confused.
Maybe she's just good at what she does and likes doing it.
Yeah, it's a part of why I've been so, like, I really wish I had been able to give this a deeper read and take law notes and read it slowly rather than... I essentially read it, like, last night and this morning because I've been so busy. And I'm like, there's so much more to this to talk about here. And there's a lot going on with Kusanagi.
Add this to our list to revisit in future episodes if we make any.
Yeah, but I also, like, to be fair, like I was saying, like, I think I also read it, like, in a night, in a morning. Obviously, I was a bit more focused, maybe, but it's not like I gave it a week, you know? Like, I just I think it was exactly that. I sat down at night and I read, like, partway through. I'm not gonna lie, my notes were like, I hate this manga, I hate this manga, I hate this manga. And I had to come back and, like, reread the whole thing again because I was so, like, I think I was just tired and it was just going over my head and I was getting really upset.
Oh yeah, I've definitely had that with media. Like, the first time I watched Akira, I was just, like, too tired to pay attention and I didn't really care for it. Watched it again when I was, actually just eaten and was in class, so I wasn't, like, feeling like I had to go to sleep. And it was a much better movie then.
So yeah,
I'm looking at that panel, by the way, where she reaches for the money and he slaps her hand.
So yeah, before we wrap up the epilogue, actually, it's funny you bring up the whole Akira thing because, like I already said, like, I think that's the most important thing about this manga. It's like, I'm not sure if... What has Masamune Shirow done recently? Because I feel like all of his stuff is, like, in the 90s and the 80s.
I think he's done more Appleseed, hasn't he?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he has done Appleseed. But he also rewrote a lot of Appleseed. Like I said, I think he also did Dominion Tank Police, if I'm not mistaken. Or one of those... Masamune... Oh, that's a fake name too, by the way.
Oh, I figured he also named himself after a, like,
he
famous
also
sword.
named after a sword. the sword that
use fake names.
It's the sword that Sephiroth has.
Manuel, Masamune was an actual swordsmith in Japan, right?
Yes, I know. But I mean, like, that's the name of the sword that Sephiroth has, though. Canonically, that's if you didn't know that, guys, that's the Aerith killing sword.
W. Tails Cat is his most recent.
The fuck is that? I want to know what Greaseberries is.
Okay,
Anyway.
That was, I think, his previous, like, 2010.
Yeah, exactly. Greaseberry sounds like a very retro site, like gun, like, what the fuck? Not gun monkeys. What the fuck is it? But anyway, Grease Monkeys. That's the fuck I was saying. Sorry. Anyway, I was trying to say that I don't know what Masamune Shirow did, but, like, I think his big influence is, like, creating a piece of media that everyone else latched onto. This is up there with the Akiras and, like, actually, when I was young, this and Akira were considered, like, the pinnacle of, like, anime. Actually, it was the pinnacle of animation, which I don't think I would put either of them in my top 10. Not to say they're bad, but I just wouldn't put either of them in my top 10. I'll come back to the movie, but let's do the. Huh?
Oh, actually, I think the movies also came out at a time when people were spending a whole lot of money on anime and anime movies, so they could pump a lot of like good animation to that. I mean, they both have very iconic scenes, especially Akira with the slide, which has been referenced over and over. Just about any time he gets on a bike and stops it, be prepared for someone to stop it exactly like they do in the movie.
What's that one movie? Yeah. Okay. I like how you knew exactly. Did you read my mind? I was gonna say, what's that one movie about the ranch?
Nope?
Yes, the specific one, because I remember watching Nope, and I'm like, yeah, I remember watching Nope like last year. I remember I told you about when I watched it. I watched it like last year, and I was like, I don't think I told you this part, but I was watching. I'm like, why the hell is the Akira slide in this movie?
I assume Jordan Peele's a fan.
I can only assume that too. But so we'll come back to the movie thing in a second because I have some funny things to say, some interesting things to wrap up about that. But the epilogue is like, oh, Bato's like, hey, stupid, wake up.
Hey,
and
Manuel,
Major wakes up.
Did you remember when the epilogue takes place?
No, when does it take place?
September 22nd. What's today?
Are you serious?
Oh, man.
Sorry, I am completely serious, Manuel. Yes, it takes place on September 22nd, which is the very day we are filming this. 4 years in the future, I believe, though.
Yeah, for those that don't know. Oh yeah, so in 4 years, let's reconvene 4 years from now. We'll record a new episode, and we'll see if the Major will show up. We'll be a special guest on that episode.
Note to self: invite Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. Okay,
there you go. But yeah, so like the chapter opens with Bato like, "Hey, stupid, wake up!" I remember like, it's funny because I mean, don't get me wrong, like they're clearly friends, and Bato is like the closest one to her, which is funny because in the earlier chapters, I always thought she was like they almost paired her up with the other two more, but then they kind of just settled on Bato. But I'm like, have they ever been that friendly until like these past two scenes, like him carrying her brain around and trying to get the body?
Hey, you get really close to someone when you have to carry their brain around like that.
Exactly. You get to know a person.
Yeah.
Didn't he also have a body in that lab too that also molded?
I think they all had backup bodies in there just in case.
Because I think they showed a guy. I mean, maybe she could have gone to the guy body. I guess once again the whole gender thing. Mm-hmm. But I think they showed a guy body, and I'm like, oh, was that going to be his? And it's like now it's rotted also.
I think it was supposed to be backups for the entire crew. With just you could pick one, and then she picked one that just ended up being like covered in fungus.
So it's funny because I actually had to go back and find the person whose body she took. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, would they actually show that person? They do. But it's just one of the random people. But yeah, she's in a body mm-hmm. of like one of like those cyberpunk, one of the like the splatterpunky type mm-hmm. Body harvest people.
I think they get called recyclers.
Recyclers, that's the word. I'm like, don't you love how I'm not looking at my notes anymore?
Yeah, man.
But yeah, like the recyclers, and I love how we don't see that battle. By the way, it all happened while the whole puppeteer thing happened. Mm-hmm. Bato apparently massacred them all except for that one, which is believable, but still crazy that we didn't see that.
I mean,
there was like 20 of them.
All? He could just scared a bunch of them off and taken one's body.
Yeah, I guess he like captured one and shot a couple in the back. Shot a couple like very crazy, so the rest run off. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so she's in a body of one of those people, mm-hmm. and he thinks it's a girl. Mm-hmm. But then she's all like, "Oh, I'm actually in a guy body." He's like, "What? No!" And she's like, "You want to see proof?" that was my funny little line there. But yeah. And then kind of just ends.
Yeah. The major puppeteer, whatever they want to be called now. They don't know what they're going to do next, but that's kind of the glory of living.
Yeah. And that ends Ghost in the Shell. For the record, like every other adaptation of this, both the live action and the anime movie have a scene like this, but they're different. But I guess the anime is kind of similar to this one mm-hmm. in terms of like the lines, and it's Bato who's there.
It would be really interesting to come back in like some amount of time and just look at the entire Ghost in the Shell franchise in depth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel this kind of did make me want to revisit everything. But this scene's a lot more like low key, for lack of a better term, than it is in any adaptation. Like she's just in like they're in one of his safe houses, like this like it looks like the Space Needle kinda. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's a swanky apartment.
It's that kind of. Yeah, it's that kind of building where it's like the big angled windows that take up the whole walls.
And like
And
even
I'm
that
like,
final
the whole
like
time,
panel is set against like the backdrop of the landscape or like the city landscape as like night falls, and it's just like, oh, the net is vast.
the net. Okay, guys, I'm in 1990 Hacker Talk.
Mhm.
But no, that's the way it ends. Also, it's funny because we talked about like the movie and everything like that. Did you guys know that Ghost of the Shell, the movie, was a box office flop?
No, I did not.
And the Wikipedia page mentions this briefly, but if you Google and go really deep, you can find contemporary articles that talk about it more in depth. It was a flop in all senses of the term. It flopped in Japan, and there was supposed to be a full theatrical rollout in the West entirely, and it flopped everywhere it played. Like the world was not ready to see a wide release anime movie yet. Like I think they've only recently been ready for that, so I guess they were way too ahead of the game. But yeah,
What do
they
you
tried to
mean?
release
The
this.
Matrix got a wide release.
Well, the Animatrix, right?
No, I would. The Matrix is an anime movie.
I knew what you were going for, but I don't care about like shut the fuck up. But no, the movie was a huge flop, and I just find that funny that like it wasn't the first time or even the last that like the company tried to like finance or co-produce a project. I should say more accurately, and it just blew apart in their blew up in their face. But I just find it funny that like it's so well loved, and even at the time, it's not like it flopped and then now we're like, oh, that was amazing. No, like right away they were like, oh, this movie's awesome. I just think it was never meant to be a theatrical movie, I guess.
Maybe they should have gave it the Morbius treatment. Try again.
Try again. Try again.
Please, Sony, third time. I promise I'll go see it.
So what fucking annoys me though is I don't know if it was Amuro Oshii. I don't know if it was Masamune Shirow. I don't know if it was Manga Entertainment. I don't know if it was all three. But when when the movie got released on DVD, it got released as Ghost of the Shell 2.0. And apparently JD told me earlier before we started that the original version is available now.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, you could only watch the 2.0 version. And for those who don't know, it's the equivalent of watching the special edition of Star Wars, where like they literally go back, take out cell animation, and put in early 2000s CG. And it looks as bad as you imagine it does. It's like, and whoever the fuck did the CG, like they did not have the movie budget anymore. So it looks like the worst TV anime CG that you could possibly see. And it's like, who thought this was a good idea? And I remember hating it. And this, like I said earlier, this is the same time, like there was a whole Ghost of the Shell rollout because like most of it was like out of print-ish for a while. And I think, and for the record, for those who are gonna like watch this and be like, there was a DVD that was original. Yeah, there was an original DVD release and it was super out of print by the time 2.0 came out. But when I bought Ghost of the Shell 2.0, when I bought the manga, they were both censored and not the original version, and I was pissed. And then I saw Innocence and was pissed even more. And then I saw Standalone Complex and thought it was all right. And believe it or not, I saw the live action. I didn't see it in theaters, but I did see the live action Scarlett Johansson one, and I thought it was not bad.
That seems to be the reaction from some people I've seen who have seen it in like my anime club circle, but obviously it's like 2 people out of however many people have seen it now.
Now, I mentioned some of this real fast, and I guess I'll just mention it as I'm already on the topic. I'll just give the quick version. I think it's funny that it gets a lot of flack for like casting Scarlett Johansson as the Major. I always mention this, that like similar to my thoughts on Dragon Ball Evolution, which by the way I kind of like that movie, that no one has actually seen it because she doesn't play Motoko Kusanagi. She plays a completely different character with a more Western sounding name, who is the Major but has a different name. And I'm like, oh, so this movie is just its own thing. And once again, I want to remind everyone there's a lot of co-production, history with the franchise since the very beginning. But the movie suddenly at the end gives you a twist ending, kinda, that she's Japanese.
Yes, the original human
like,
in the Scarlett Johansson body.
Yes, and for the record, that movie doesn't give you any implication that like that's a fake name. That like who knows who the original Major was? But like in the Scarlett Johansson one, her human form was Motoko Kusanagi because she has a mom and everything. And I'm like, why include that? the movie was getting flack for that, and why include that scene? That was not necessary. Robert Rodriguez, whoever the fuck did that movie, I don't know who the fuck did that movie. I just assume it was him.
No,
Did
man,
he do
you're
Alita?
thinking he did
So-
Alita.
He did Alita.
Yeah. I'm just blaming him. Damn you, Robert Rodriguez.
Man, you're
Yeah, I
really
don't
gonna
know
do
who
that
did,
during
Ghost in the
Hispanic
Shell.
Heritage Month.
Who actually
Hey,
did
I'm
the-
Hispanic. Yeah, actually,
Rupert
who did that?
Sanders was the
it-
director, Manuel.
I have
Who is
no idea who
Rupert
that is.
Sanders?
I
directed
nobody.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Bro,
Directed the Crow reboot.
Who still gives him work? That's the bigger question. Wait, what the fuck? What's Ghost in the Shell Arise?
One of the newer anime.
I've never heard of that. Even in my fucking clearly, I didn't come to the main hub Wikipedia page because I would have saw that.
Yeah, it's
What the fuck?
like a 5-episode OVA and a movie. I think they recast everyone across English and Japanese in that one because they have, I think, Elizabeth Maxwell playing the major in that one, but they did still bring back Mary Elizabeth McGlynn as some other role. I think she's like one of the supervisors now.
Oh, Avi Arad produced this movie. For those who don't know, if you ever saw like a flop, like Avi Arad's behind a lot of recent flops. I think he did that Spider-Man movie. I think he did Morbius. If I'm not mistaken, he was a producer on Morbius.
I mean, I think he's a producer
So
on a
there-
bunch of Sony Spider-Man movies, though. Like, I don't think you can blame it entirely on him being connected to the movie. It's just that he's on a lot of flops.
For those who don't know the film world, especially the Hollywood film world, producers have a huge role in how a movie turns out.
Yes, but I mean that he's
You
probably
just don't
one
think
of
about
multiple
them.
producers on it, not simply the only one.
No, I think he's the only one. I mean, he's the only named producer. That's probably for the record, executive producers, for those who don't know the difference, executive producers usually get that name because they funded it.
Mhm.
They typically don't have controlling, like, they're not there talking about the movie.
He's also a producer
just
on
gave
Spider-Man 2. I'm just saying he's on
But
some
yeah,
good
so
movies as
he-
well. It's not that
he
he
did
somehow
Borderland?
his movie Poison.
Oh man.
I don't know, man. Isn't he doing the Legend of Zelda movie? It's
Yes,
not a
but
joke.
once
Yeah,
again,
he
he's
is.
also producer on Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, and more than likely going to be on Beyond the Spider-Verse as well. It's just not complete zero track record, is what I'm just trying to say.
Anyway, the Ghost in the Shell live action movie. I'm not saying go watch it. I spoiled it on purpose. You don't have to. The only thing it has a decent cast. Like Beat Takeshi's in it. I think he plays Aramaki.
Yeah.
That's interesting little like. I think they might have renamed Aramaki in that one. I think it gets renamed in every adaptation. Because in the manga, he's like this monkey-looking person. They even reference that a lot. He looks like a monkey, and I lashed at that immediately, like, oh, look at Sun Wukong, he grew up. But I think they renamed that character in other adaptations. But I think he was Aramaki in the movie. It doesn't matter. So yeah, that's Ghost in the Shell. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, let's all look forward to Science Saru's adaptation next year.
The
Wait, is
Ghost
that
in
real?
the Shell. Yes.
Yeah,
I didn't know
which
that
actually,
either.
by the way, is the name of the manga.
I mean,
The
it's
Ghost
like
in the
Is it
Shell.
Mobile
called
Armored
The?
Tank Police or something. Ghost in the Shell is the subtitle. And then they thought, I'm not actually using the Mobile Armored Tank Police right now, so let's just go with Ghost
Oh,
in the Shell everywhere
yeah.
else.
Yeah, so like it's funny you say that because Ghost in the Shell that has all these Japanese kanji under it. That's what that means apparently.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to always think that was Ghost in the Shell,
Mhm.
and I remember like, mind you, I knew about this like 20 years ago. Like I found out about this like from you right now, but like I was like, oh, what the fuck? Once again, this has to do with the whole Tachikoma Fuchikoma thing again, where I'm like, I think those robots are meant to be a hell of a lot more important at some point.
So yeah, final thoughts?
I have, like I said, I wouldn't call it a love-hate relationship as much. I think it's a really good manga.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's amongst my favorites. I think it's historically important to like
Mhm.
anime boomer fans.
Yeah.
But I think it could do with a modern reinterpretation. Probably not from Masamune Shirow. I don't know if he'd allow that, but
I mean, there's a manga running or that ran recently that was like another stab at the world from just a completely different author and artist.
Oh, because there are sequels to this one.
Mhm.
There's a full-on sequel. I forget what the fuck it's called, Ghost in Shell 2, and there's 1.5.
Mhm.
And spoiler alert, she does just go back to working for Section 9. I don't know. I'm interested. I still don't know how the fuck I never heard of Arise. God, that's old too. What the fuck?
Yeah. So yeah,
I liked it. I honestly say it's worth reading. Honestly, I say go for the version that I read where it's uncensored. You can see not just so you can see the lesbian sex scene for all of its lesbian sex sceniness, but just like so you can George Lucasify it as much as you reasonably can, because I don't think you can go further back than that version in English at least. Your thoughts? Jade?
B, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think it is good. I feel roughly the same as Manuel on this one, actually, which is rare on this show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's worth reading. I do have like a complicated relationship with Ghost in the Shell, having seen the movie like a million times, and I do wish I had had the opportunity to give the manga more attention, and we'll probably read it again in the future. But yeah, I think it's good. It's worth reading. There's a lot to like.
Yeah. I think we're all basically in accord on this one, which is another rare thing.
I know.
I like this. I think it's good. I don't know if it's great, but I think like looking at it as just from the perspective of how it influenced both the movie and how that influenced a lot of modern science fiction, cyberpunk in general, is a very interesting thing. And I like this take that isn't all the grim seriousness and stoicism of later adaptations, just getting to see something more lighthearted, a bit more actiony, that occasionally then devolves into, oh, here's a chapter where we're just talking philosophy, and here's like an ending that is just the entire philosophy of like growth and the human soul. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can't like overstate how different science fiction would look right now without Ghost in the Shell.
Like I wasn't joking. Like I know I kept referencing it, but no exaggeration. The Wachowskis like went on record, at least when the time the movie was being made.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they have a more elaborate story now. That Ghost in the Shell was a huge, direct, 100% influence on the Matrix. So like,
yeah,
and
I know
it
all over.
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell
that,
and
what's his name?
Was it Hong Kong action flicks a lot?
Yeah, I know. What's his name? Foot fetish guy.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yes, he was influenced by it. Obviously, a ton of other people, like big name directors, were influenced by it. I'm sure James Cameron, he had to have heard about it along with Battle Angel Alita, the only other person who ever heard of that one. Also, did you guys know there's a Ghost in the Shell, the new movie?
Yes,
that was attached to them. I've never heard of any of this. How did none of this come from my research? Okay, Ghost in the Shell wiki, you need to update your shit.
Manuel, have you heard of Wikipedia?
Clearly, it doesn't always work in this case, but I usually think that the dedicated wikis are more like thorough. It's not always the case, and I haven't noticed that before. But I thought it was. It had a lot of clickable thingies, and then it didn't say anything about this show or this movie. What the fuck?
It was probably talking about was it only talking about the anime movie and Standalone Complex and maybe Solid State Society if you're lucky?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is all this? Like,
it was only dedicated to the original anime.
So yeah, now I want to watch that. I've never heard of it. I've never heard of any of this.
All right.
And apparently there's still Ghost in the Shell coming out now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Manuel, what's the future of this podcast looking like?
So there's one more full scheduled episode. Then we plan to do one more recap episode at the end of the year where we talk about like our thoughts on this year so far, as in like the manga we've read, give our little rankings, maybe we've let some things stew. I know for a fact that my thoughts on a lot of the earlier works changed. If anyone tuned into the episode on Earthchild, you might have heard me say some of those things. Like I went back and I'm like, oh, maybe those other ones weren't so bad.
Man, I didn't even get to say what I thought about Earthchild.
Oh man! Well, you get to say that for that one at least.
Manuel, let us know a bit of what you were thinking.
Fun fact: that episode in the making of was very like life changing for me. And I was like, man, I don't know about some things. And I just thought that, a lot of things need a refresh, need like some stop and rethink things. So yeah, unfortunately, that means that Reading the Wrong Way will go on hiatus. And I like to say it's a real hiatus, because I still think there's hope in the concept. There's something there. I just think we need to refresh and think about it. Maybe come back, maybe change the format, maybe think of a solid format. Fun fact.
Yeah.
But
we didn't really
like
think about it. We just kind of said, hey, manga podcast, and recorded like later.
To give a really quick behind the scenes on it, B had mentioned the idea to me, and I was just like, hey, let's do it. And it was just, I don't know, maybe you caught me on a really good week, I caught JD on a good week, and we just did it.
I mean,
Like, it
you
came,
caught me
like,
completely
it
by
happens.
surprise. Like, I didn't think I was going to be hosting the show. I thought I was just going to be recording and editing it. And then I had to read all of Magic Knight
Exactly.
Rayearth in like 3 hours before we recorded.
A lot of things happened. A lot of things happened on accident, fast and loose, and it got the show out and it got the show on the on the run.
Mhm.
But then we never really stopped and thought about it.
Yeah.
I think the idea that even me and B had was like, oh, we'll just start it and then we'll figure it out. And I think that we never really stopped to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
with that said, what we're going to do is October, we're reading Tomie. I already chose Tomie as of like last year when we read Uzumaki.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to do Junji Ito every year. I knew Tomie was going to be the next one. And then November, we're taking it off. I think, as far as I know, we're not doing
Yeah, this
anything
is
in
holiday.
November. And then December, we'll do our little recap of the first season,
Yeah.
first season of the show.
Yeah, I think we should
Yeah,
call
that'd
them
be
seasons. I
cool.
think that fits.
Much like Netflix will disappear for
Oh,
many,
you
many
motherfucker!
years.
Oh, please don't bring Manuel up on this. I'm going to have to edit this part out.
No, I want to hear it.
Oh my god, you No, I was gonna make the exact same. I have it in my notes. I thought it up last night. I'm like, we're gonna be like Netflix seasons. I have it in my notes, and I
Oh,
was
man.
about to like cut you off and say it, and you literally stole my. Is it because we read Ghost of the Shell and now we're like psychically linked? Because like this is crazy. We did this like twice already, and we did it earlier. I don't think it'll make it to the edit, but we were like. Oh no, it won't make it to the edit because we weren't live yet. When we were recording for sound, we were mimicking each other without realizing it there too. What is happening?
Oh man,
Okay,
I
so
don't know.
yeah, that's
this
going to be.
podcast was the real Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, the ghosts in the shells were the ghosts we made along the way.
So that's going to be it for this episode of Reading the Wrong Way. If you've liked what you've heard, consider subscribing to our Patreon, patreon.com/A2J-Connections. Every dollar helps keep our website ad-free and helps us bring you content like this.
And by the way, I want to interrupt you. We want to do more with that. So do subscribe because we have ideas for things for patrons.
Shout out to our patron, Ed. Also, like this, consider following us on social media. We're A2J Connections. That's A-2-J-Connections.com. You can find our social medias. We're generally A2J Connections on like Blue Sky Threads. We're A2J_info on X and A2J Plays on Twitch. We're A2J Connections and A2J Plays on YouTube.
Yep.
So,
And check us all out on all those.
that's it for this month for A2J Connections. I'm JD.
I'm Manuel.
And I'm B.
And we'll see you next chapter.